from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who's running in circles, or ovals, or I don't. Again, I think I talked about it. I think I used this already. It's like it's ellipses or elliptical. You're the elliptical podcaster. I don't podcast on an elliptical. The nautical, like they say, oh boy, that nautilus shape's good for working out. I remember I heard that once, but it's also, it may be good for it may be good for a sleep podcast. Not positive about that either. This episode happens to be a journey into one song from a musical and Dan Harmon's Story Circle. I didn't realize this episode was from the 400s, so it's really a deep dive, and there is like later in the episode some content about post-earthly existence, because it just is the words from the song, and some like so it's this is like a PG I don't even know if it's PG-13 episode. But you could, there's always, that's why we have so many episodes and so many styles of episodes coming out. I hope you enjoy this episode. But yeah, if you listen, keep in mind it is an older episode of Sleep With Me, so there's a little bit looser language, but nothing too intense. It's very sleepy, a journey into a song about nothing, oddly enough. So I'm glad you're here. And we get particularly this year, hopefully when you're hearing this, we've really geared things up to make the podcast that puts you to sleep. But that's something we do together. All the people that are regular listeners, us doing it together, doesn't just benefit you. Your actions benefit other people. So if you're one of those people that supports the show directly, or supports the sponsors, or spreads the word about the show, that goes out and helps so many other people. I cannot do it without you. And we're gearing up in 2025 because the show is meant to put you to sleep, to keep you company, and really to ease those hard feelings in the deep, dark night. So I hope I can do that for you this year. And thanks for doing it. And here's a couple of the ways that we are able to do it. It's people that listen to this part and say, hey, let me think about that. Thanks. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. All right, buddy, you've heard me talk about my bed. I have the Helix Dusk Luxe. I absolutely love it. And I love working with Helix. We've been working for Helix year after year after year. I sleep in a Helix bed every night. I absolutely love it. I'm comfortable. But it's a bed fit for me and how I sleep. Helix isn't going to just sell you one mattress. They're going to sell you a mattress that fits you, your sleep needs, how you sleep, your feel preferences, what's going to make you comfortable so you can have a great night's sleep. And everybody starts off with these resolutions in the new year. But think about it. You sleep in your mattress, your bed every single night. And here's something you could do in the new year. Get yourself a brand new mattress that fits your needs. And you know you're going to follow through on it because you're going to get in that bed every single night and you're going to be comfortable. And all you need to do to kick your new year off with some great sleep is to take that quiz, helixsleep.com/sleep. But when I took it, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach. I don't want to get overheated. And I got matched with the Helix. I picked the Helix Dusk Luxe. So start your new year off right. Get yourself a new bed. It's going to last you into 2025 and beyond. It's going to come straight to your door, shipped in a box, free of charge. And this is a commitment that's easy to follow through on because you're going to be getting in that bed and getting cozy night after night. And here's all you need to do. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. helixsleep.com/sleep. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. Thanks, everybody. Hey everybody, this is Scooch. This is where I talk about our membership program. The best way to support your ongoing enjoyment of Sleep With Me is to support it. Not only do you get amazing benefits like podcasts with just ad-free episodes, podcasts with just story-only episodes, podcasts with bonus episodes. It is, in 2025, what enables us to keep making the show. But I have not been successful, like for the past few months, in encouraging people to sign up with my way I've been asking. So it's time to do it differently. So now I'm just going to use testimonials right from a listener and see if you identify with what this listener says. This is Jen from the Seattle area who's been listening to Sleep With Me since 2016. And Jen was dealing with some medical stuff in 2016 in October. And when I got home, I was having a ton of trouble sleeping for various reasons. And I asked on social media, and someone suggested the podcast. I tried it out a few times and couldn't make it past the intro in a good way. I went right to sleep. And because the show helped me out with so much with my sleep issues, I wanted to give something back to return the support I felt from listening. And I would say, think about if the show has really helped you. The show has been a miracle worker for me personally and is often the only thing that can settle my brain down and get me to sleep. If you're anything like me, the podcast helps you get valuable and important sleep. If you find value in having the show available and it's been helpful to you, I heartily encourage you to give back to the show. It gets lots of bonus material and great stuff like all intro episodes. I spent years struggling with insomnia and being unable to sleep, and the fact that I can go to bed now and I know that I'll be probably able to sleep through the night. It's priceless. So if Sleep With Me is priceless to you, think about supporting it back so we can be here for you and a lot of other people. If anything that Jen said you identify with, you could even do it and cancel. Try out a free trial first. Get that bonus content all set up in a podcast app and see what you think. That's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support, dear Scooter, on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, if you're looking for access to Sleep With Me Plus, to access to ad-free episodes, but you're not in a financial position to support the show, you can earn those for free. By referring people to free podcasts at our referral program, sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. If you're like, yeah, I can't afford to support the show, but I really want some of that sweet, sweet bonus content on Sleep With Me Plus, sign up for our referral program and send me an email. Thanks, everybody. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, you all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you up at night, whether it's thinking, feeling, sensing, physical sensations, emotional feelings, stuff that happened yesterday, stuff that happened a few years ago, or stuff you're thinking about that's coming up, or if it's changes in routine, or if something, that could be something I don't even know about. but maybe I can relate to it because I've had trouble sleeping. But here's what I'm going to do. Here's the safe place. It's a place where I'm going to try to distract you from that. What I'm going to do is send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use these creaky, dulcet tones. I have a pair of wings of pointlessness. Also, overuse of alliteration. I'll be there was this song, Pour Some Sugar on Me. I would say pour some alliteration on me. If I ever do a modeling shoot, they'd say, well, geez, how do you want to theme the shoot, your photo shoot? I guess it's a photo shoot. Excuse my presumption. They'd say, well, I'd like to do it with pour some alliteration on me. And they say, I'm sorry, excuse me? And they'd say, well, first of all, how come you're taking my photos without a beret on? And they say, pour some alliteration on me. What does that mean? I said, well, I don't know exactly, but I'd like to. They say, are there going to be fans at my photo shoot? And they say fans like listeners? No, fans, like blowing fans. And they say, well, you don't have hair, you have fur, so you don't really need fans to blow your hair. I say, okay, you're right about that. Have you looked into that pouring alliteration on me? And they say, that's a turn in, isn't that a phrase? Isn't that something that's used in the written and spoken languages and not, doesn't it's heard and it can be seen on paper. Maybe we could do some signs, some alliterative signs. How's that? No. You can't pour a sign on me, can you? Because that doesn't sound like a safe idea, but pouring sign. I didn't say pour some signs on me. I said, I want you to pour some alliteration. Oh, excuse me, photographer. I'm in the middle of a podcast. I'll be right back. A podcast intro. Sorry, everybody. Got distracted once again. If you're new here, this happens pretty often. So I'll just set up. So I'm going to do an intro here. It's going to, if you could feel like it's dragging on, but that's intentional. It's also it's intentional and organic. Just like food. I guess it's like I guess I'm more of a forager. Say, describe your podcast method to us. Well, it's a bit like foraging I'm a story forager. And I don't say that in jest. I guess that's actually what I do, especially Tuesdays tonight. What I'll do is I'll drag out this intro. I'm going to be foraging for metaphors here. Might get back to that photography shoot. Not sure if I can, dig for any truffles or whatever. Because I think they say, well, geez, foraging was so 3 years ago. What do you... And I say, yeah, I missed the foraging boom. I'm sorry that I missed the foraging boom. I miss every boom by about 3 years. I'm I'm post-hip. What can I say? They say post-hip. That is so cool. I say, that's right. They said, what about no, because you know why I am, because I'm a story forager. You forge stories? No, not a story forager. I'm a story forager. And they say, okay. But I say, that's pretty good. I'm a forage forager. I said, that's some alliteration. Did you know I was in the middle of an alliteration photo shoot? And they said, you're kidding me. You were shooting alliteration with you were taking photos of alliteration. That is post-tip. And they said, no, I said, actually, I foraged for alliteration. Actually, I'm in the middle of, I was in you're distracting me from a distraction from a podcast intro. Excuse me, whoever criticized my missing the foraging boom. But anyway, if you're new here, I'll be foraging for stories and metaphors. So we'll do a little story part, or this episode's a little bit more about story structure and songs. Or one song in particular, but let's see, where was I? So if you're new here, it's the podcast meant to take your mind off stuff. I'm not, clearly there's, if you were expecting something erudite or, intelligent or meditative, I got creaky dulcet tones. What can I can't do much about that. I'm pretty sure I have some mushrooms growing within my brain. So so that's why I have to forage for stories as opposed to, why don't you just tell stories? Well, brain mushrooms. That's where my stories come from, though. So it's a good, and they say, yeah, I bet you I can only imagine what kind of mushrooms are growing in your brain. But so that's it. I mean, I would try to get back to this, this photo shoot thing, because it's just, but so that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk here. But you just make yourself comfortable. You don't have to listen to me, but you're under no pressure to listen or fall asleep. You just kick back, and it'll just be like I'm just sitting within the vicinity of your room, chatting you up, and you say, "Well, this is my one friend that I would be comfortable calling a buffoon." They say, "Well, let's use the bassoon. Why don't you just call me a bassoon?" Because since we're on the alliteration tip. I'm doing alt alliteration now. I say, well, what's that? I said, well, ever since I became post-hip, I'm also into the alt scene. I'm using alt alliteration. Well, what's alt alliteration? Well, you'll say one word, and then I'll offer an alliterative word that doesn't mean the same thing, but we're going to use, like buffoon, we're going to say bassoon from now on. And I can hear part of that. You see, first, your gut reaction is that doesn't make any sense. And they say, wait a second. It almost makes sense, but it's of no use. And I'd say, exactly. I'd say, can we, now this is a challenge. I'd say, well, it's almost like it's useless. And I'd say, well, it's like, oh boy, what do you call this? I got alliteration performance anxiety. So I don't know. I don't have it useless. How did I manage to get one word that, starts with a use, that I can't alliterate. But so let's just get back to that alliterative photo shoot. So if you're new here, though, that's what I'm going to do. Let me ask you, have you thought about anything other than, like, your brain will kind of, for a little while, if you're new, your brain might try to challenge and say, wait, let's try to focus on what this guy's talking about. And then another party might get irritated and be like, he's not talking about anything. But once you see I'm kind of in this middle ground where it's like I'm talking, and to me it has meaning. Believe me, I'm not just sitting here chattering about nothing. To me, this all makes perfect sense. That's why this podcast works. And you say, why again? Well, mushrooms on the brain. That's why it works. And you'd say that doesn't make any sense. I say, yeah, because you have a mushroom-free brain. Congratulations. You probably you don't need to use words like alt alliteration. You don't have any use for it. Do you know any words that rhyme, like that are alliterative, like useless, that I could use right now, this second, and say, oh, you're not real. You're a figment of my Oh, thanks. I'll get back to the podcast intro then. So close it out. How would we, if we were going to do a photo shoot where we pour alliteration on me, would we use alphabet soup or SpaghettiOs? Do they have SpaghettiOs with letters? But we'd have to pick out, we could use, do they still have that cereal? What was it called? Alphabets or something? What was that cereal? It was like frosted letters. And I think they did away with that when they said that was too educational. It didn't taste as, make it into pebbles. Or, kids like eating oblong things for breakfast. You say, don't, letters is too much. But yeah, maybe I could just pour, I don't know if I really want to cover myself in SpaghettiOs or whatever the heck that stuff is, or soup. No. I think I'd say dry cereal, then SpaghettiOs, then soup. I don't want to cover myself in soup. I could see, SpaghettiOs, there's probably that might be good for my skin. At least I could tell myself that. Dried cereal. I'm trying to think what other, cooked pasta. There you go. That's what a part of my brain just said. What about just cooked pasta, no sauce? I said, pour that on me. Pour that alliteration on me. And then they said, well, that's not alliteration. That's just letters. And I said, well, it's just a photo shoot. Why are you taking it so seriously? And they said, well, you're the one that made all the demands. And I'd say, well, at least I decided to call it a photo shoot. Remember when I first started out, I called it a model shoot? I don't even know that's when you shoot models. And I say, yeah, airplane models. I used to shoot them off my roof. So there you go. I have done a model shoot before. And I may have had I wish I had named a plane, the USS alliteration. So anyway, and I guess part of you might be like, I don't even think this guy honey, are you listening? I don't think this man knows what alliteration is. And I would say the more to pity me with, and to say, whew, that's what you could do. That's what some people tell me when they say, whew, good thing I'm not Scooter. Oh boy, gosh, bagosh, that guy. And they say, and then a lot of people, they'll say, hey, when you do that stuff, are you serious? And I say, oh, yeah. And just being myself, unfortunately, you give me a mic and I start talking and the truth comes out. But here's the opportunity. I can use it to help you fall asleep. So what greater use could I put my misuse of alliteration? Is that alliteration when like a use of my misuse? That's better than useless. So we may have, that's alt alliteration for sure, for totally. Since I invented that word, I can, define it. They say, I think he's trying to redefine words. And I say, well, word scramble. I got mushroom brain. Haven't I said that 7 times tonight? So, but the main thing is I'm glad you're here because I've been sleepless. I've been lying there in the deep, dark night. That's why I send my voice across it to help distract you, maybe to hold your hand if you're comfortable or walk at your side. Or just, sit back as you float across the threshold into the arms of Morpheus. Or whatever sleep god you choose to, or you say just the pillow town. So I'm glad you're here. This podcast doesn't work for everybody. I hope it helps you, give it a few tries if you're skeptical. But like I said, I'm glad you're here. And I really hope I really yearn to help you fall asleep. Sleep With Me is supported by Soundcore from Anchor in their new Soundcore Sleep A20 earbuds, which block noise for a quieter sleep. I've been using them for a few weeks now, including traveling over the holiday season, and I can confidently say they've made a huge difference for me. These earbuds aren't just for you. The Soundcore A20 sleep buds have a built-in alarm clock to wake you without disturbing a partner. Or they're even better, if your partner doesn't like listening to Sleep With Me, you got to get these earbuds. They're comfortable, and they allow you to listen to Sleep With Me without, your partner having to listen to it. Get the sleep you deserve with Soundcore A20 at soundcore.com. That's SOUNDCORE.com. Use code SLEEP at checkout to get $30 off. SLEEP in all caps. Tonight, every night, grab your pair and sleep away. All right, hey everybody. So it's happy Tuesday to everyone. When I'm recording this, it's like September something. So by the time you hear this, actually, this episode may come out right around the time I'm supposed to go on Harmontown, Dan Harmon's podcast. And I was pretty surprised to even be asked to go on. And I was really, I'm really nervous about it, obviously, because I want to be a good guest. And Dan's real funny. And I just don't want to ruin his show. So hopefully I didn't, if you're hearing this afterwards. And I don't think I'll just do my best and I could just, just follow his lead. That's what I keep telling myself. Just listen and, do your best. But this is so it's been about a month and a half since I knew I was going to go on the show, and it's still a month away. And I knew a bit about Dan. I'd watched the Harmontown documentary and I listened to the podcast, Harmontown, and I'd seen Community. And, read some stuff about Dan, but I guess I did, I was a little bit ignorant of, how much Dan's written about story structure and, how well he's written about it. And I haven't even read everything, because once I read a few basic things that he had written about it, it was right around the time, it was exactly the same time as Nuns in Space was about to get started. And so this is going to be a little bit about story structure. But it'll be rambling. So you'll be set. But for those of you that like structure stuff or story stuff, or anybody that's a fan of the musical is it a chorus line or the chorus line? I don't know. But Like those are the things we're going to touch on. Dan's story structure and a song from a chorus line. And you're already saying, oh boy. But so I was reading a lot about Dan's thoughts about story structure, which we're going to put to practice here. And I'll butcher and paraphrase, but I'll look up some of the stuff from Dan that Dan talks about. So right before, let's see, let's back up. So every time I start a new series, the Thursday episodes are written ahead of time. If you're new or you didn't, you say you write this stuff, Scoots. And I say, yeah, believe it or not, to make the podcast sound sleepy and like I'm sitting there telling you a story, it takes a lot of work. And I'll probably repeat this point a few times, but believe it or not, the more structured the story is, the more boring and meandering it can be. Because just like having, because it's a structure, I guess that explains it right there. Like, just because the story's structured doesn't mean it has to be interesting. It doesn't have to be great structure, perfect structure. So every time I've developed a series on the show that's written, which is every Thursday series, I've tried different ways of plotting them out. And it always comes down to, plotting out this. Sometimes I tried to plot out the season, and then every episode needs to be plotted out. And I've tried different types of story structure or my own techniques. And I think this is a way anybody, this is how you learn structure by keep trying. I mean, that's how I learned to make this podcast. Just keep trying different things. And I had a couple of things before I discovered all Dan's writing, and I was like, maybe I'll try that out for this season. And because Nuns in Space is kind of a procedural, it kind of frees me up from having the pressure of having an overarching narrative for the whole season and being like, okay, because I usually try to plot it out for 12 or 14 episodes, and then it always goes long because the structure in a series, I mean, it's just not I'm writing, I don't have a lot of lead time. So it was just a perfect happenstance that I started reading about Dan's story structure. And I said, wow, this is interesting stuff. And it seems really useful and powerful. And it's based on some structure stuff that I already and I'll just explain what story structure is, what it means to me in a second. But I said, geez, I could test this out with Nuns in Space and just see how it goes and see if I can learn it. And that's really the only... I mean, I'm sure if you're someone that writes for a living already, you have a different perspective on that. And maybe if you're someone that just, geez, I want to start writing, maybe you have a different perspective. But I guess I'm like a person that's like, okay, I still don't find myself an adept storyteller, but I love stories. I love telling stories. I love dreaming stories and thinking of stories. And so what does story structure mean? I mean, the classic story structure of most things is, stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then you might say, it has stories have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, beginning, middle, and end. Or they have Act 1, Act 2A, Act 2B. That might be more movie structure, which is what I've always more focused on. But it's what's interesting about Dan's thing. While he was applying it to, some of his writings about his Channel 101 days, shorter story. I don't know. It's not just about TV or movies. So I guess that's what story structure means to me. It's how you start a story and then how you find your way to the end. And even when I'm making up stories, on the Tuesday shows, they still need to have some structure. It's not like I'm stopping and thinking about the structure. So, and that's what's so great about practicing writing or using a structure for one thing is that, then maybe my brain's learning it. Because a Tuesday episode, when I'm making up a story, I still need to find my way to the end. Otherwise, I don't know where I'm going. And then the story, it doesn't have any structure to hang anything on. Or if it's a puppet, or if it doesn't have a skeleton, the structure, how am I going to move it around and pose it and say, hey, top of the day, how can I have it tip its cap if it doesn't have a structure? And I talk about a lot of this. And if you're really new, you might be like, holy cow, this guy is very delusional. He makes a boring podcast that he only has to talk about nothing. And he really, and he really believes he has to work hard at it, or he really works hard at it. And I'd say, I do see the irony in that. And I would say if this podcast wasn't an extremely challenging thing for me to make, I don't think I could make it 3 times a week, which I guess is paradoxical too. But I believe as a maker of the Sleep With Me that all the work that goes in the podcast and story structure are the things that make it work. And that's just like, other than hard work and rigor, I think the secret of the podcast is narrative structure, or the narrative and our familiarity with narrative. And that's why I say it's a bedtime story podcast, because I think we crave story, and we tell ourselves stories about ourselves at bedtime, or about like the noises we're hearing. And sometimes they're simple stories like, geez, how irritating is that? And they say, what would I say to that person that's like honking that horn? That's still a story. And I guess if you break it down, it might not have a classic story structure. I don't know. I guess I'm rambling. That's one of the other things about this podcast that works, my ability to ramble and go on tangents. So I thought what would be, so I came across Dan's story structure, started reading about it, but you only read so much. And the good thing is he's very concise and simple. And I'll link to the articles. I think there's only like 5 or 6 that I read. Very well written and easy to put right into use, which I think is great. So that's one thing. And then not that long after maybe a few weeks of playing around with this structure, this other thing came up for me, which was that it's some intro recently. I was kind of half joking and half seriously talking about my inability to feel feelings, and how like a lot of times I don't have a big emotional range. I'm trying to learn how to do that. And sometimes I joke about it, and sometimes I'm kidding, and sometimes I'm serious, that I'm like a little bit numb inside, or that I have trouble emoting or connecting with my feelings. And something I'm working on. I don't encourage it. I say, geez, I don't recommend kids, if you're listening, don't make yourself into an island or a fortress. Or a fortress island, which is what I think I have going, and become don't follow my path. Believe me, it might look, you say, oh boy, this guy's boring people to sleep. He's living large, boring people to sleep. I gotta, don't follow those other things like rigor. If you have something, just do it every day for a few minutes, whether it's playing the piano or painting model airplanes or telling stories or singing songs. Do it every day. Find some other people that are doing it professionally and see what their thoughts are, especially if they're getting paid to do what you want to do, instead of, like say, geez, do they have any comments on, the professional model airplane? But that might be not the best example, but, there's probably people selling model airplane art somewhere. I mean, I would probably buy it for, not full price, by the way, give me a discount since I just invented this new art genre. Model airplane arts. Sorry, I get distracted. But so I was thinking about my, like how I joke and I'm serious about my inability to feel feelings. And then our friend Maggie, who's a poet out on Twitter, we had a little interchange where we were kind of joking around. And I said, what best sums it up for me is a song from a chorus line, Nothing. Which is this great song, which we're going to, and then I listened to that song, like I listened to the original cast version and then the 2000 revival version, about, a million times in a row. And I started to just realize, like, wow, this song is so well structured. And I said, I wonder how this song applies to Dan's story structure. And I thought about, I said, that would be a good podcast episode to break down the structure of the song and to kind of talk about what I love about the song in a way to talk about Dan's ideas around story structure. So I don't know if, I guess we're going to do it. So that's what we're going to do the rest of the episode. But first for anybody who says, who's Dan Harmon and what's a chorus line or it's a chorus line, I believe. Let me just consult Wikipedia here so I can get some facts. So Dan Harmon is an American writer and producer, best known for creating NBC series Community, also co-created, which it just botched, the Adult Swim series Rick and Morty. He co-founded the alternative television network website Channel 101. That's where I got a lot of story structure for stuff from. Published a book, You'll Be Perfect When You're Dead, in 2013, working on a second book. And he hosts a podcast called Harmontown. He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Brown Deer High in his house. He briefly attended Glendale Community College, which became the basis of the show Community. So, I mean, I think a lot of podcast fans know who Dan Harmon is. And if you don't, you should check out his podcast, which is kind of like something like, it's just, it's kind of one of those podcasts that's like part comedy show and interview show, kind of like the good days of David. I mean, I'm a David Letterman fan and a Conan fan. I work so much I don't watch Conan anymore. Sorry, Conan. I know you're not listening, but it's Dan and Jeff B. Davis. There's also the documentary about it, I think, is on Netflix. And this guy Spencer, which is like this, that's like the part about like how, I don't know. I always look at people that can discover talent, like they discovered Spencer. And when people have an eye for talent like that, that's, if you watch this Harmontown documentary, it's great. But one of the best parts about it is watching this kid Spencer and realizing his wit. I don't know. You're just realizing like, wow, they found, I don't know. I don't want to overtalk it because, so listen to Harmontown. It's really funny, really genuine. Watch Rick and Morty. I think the next season is coming soon. And then, talk about, so then A Chorus Line is a musical. It was music by Marvin Hamlish, lyrics by Edward Claiborne, and the book was by James Kirkwood Jr. and Nicholas Dante. It's centered on 17 Broadway dancers auditioning for spots on a chorus line. It's set on the bare stage of a Broadway theater during the audition. Chorus line provides a glimpse into the personality of the performers and the choreographer, as they talk during their audition. Following several workshops and an off-Broadway production, it premiered the Schubert Theater, Broadway in 1975. Directed and choreographed by Michael Bennett. It was a hit, 12 Tony Awards, Pulitzer Prize for drama. The original production ran for 6,137 performances. Longest running production until Cats took it, beat it in 1997. And then Chicago passed that. So still the sixth longest running Broadway performance. Now, there's also the 2006 revival of it, and that's the performance I listened to most of is by Natalie Cortez. It's just a beautiful, nothing to take away from the original by Priscilla Lopez. Those are the two I listened to the most. But it was, the 2006 revival opened in 2006 and closed in 2008 after 759 performances. Cost $8 million to finance and recouped its investment in 19 weeks. Mario Lopez was on the cast for a little while, and it was the subject of a documentary. I didn't know this, called Every Little Step. It was also a movie in 1985 that I never saw, starring Michael Douglas. I guess it says it was unsuccessful. It was directed by Richard Attenborough. Is this right? So that's a little bit about the musical, The Chorus Line, but we're going to be talking about the song Nothing. And the song Nothing is sung by the character Diana Morales. And it is part of montage part 2. So that's the song. So let's talk about now. It's a song that will kind of uncover what it's about in the lyrics here. But so let's see. So this is where I started with Dan's story. His story embryo technique is what, I don't know if he calls it that. But this was all over at Dan's Tumblr, danharmon.tumblr.com. I'm going to try to find the date over here. This was posted 3 years ago. But I don't see a date. But someone, Edia asks, could you explain your story breaking process? This is a great place to start. And actually, this is where I start doing some other stuff to get the ideas. And then I kind of use this process that Dan talks about, which the episodes for, what's the name of the series I do? Nuns in Space. So I'm going to paraphrase. Dan says start with ideas, and that can be anything. In this case, with Chorus Line, it's about acting school, I guess, is one of the ideas. But Dan says, you can use America, pickles, raccoon, number 6, anything. Now, some ideas are going to come up with related ideas. He says, if you think about raccoons, you might say, well, think about other things about raccoons. And he says clouds of related ideas that your mind recognizes as related in any way are potential story areas. Look for areas that make you laugh and cry. And in the case of a chorus line, or a case of nothing, we'll see. I guess I'll read through this, then we'll kind of talk about how it applies. So then Dan says, draw a circle to symbolize your area because your story will take the reader through the, and that's in quotes, and reader means whoever's experiencing the story, through related ideas in a path around a central idea. And he says, you don't have to know what the central idea is. It might be dumb. You're writing about raccoons. Now he says, divide your circle into a top half and a bottom half and ask yourself what those halves might be. And in the raccoon example, it might be positive thoughts about raccoons and negative thoughts about raccoons. And if that doesn't charge you, pick something else like raccoon thoughts and male raccoon thoughts and female raccoon thoughts, or biological raccoon thoughts and storybook raccoon thoughts. And then at some point, you're going to divide that area into 2 parts that create a personal charge for you, like a battery. Like, I like the idea that there's a difference between biological raccoons and storybook raccoons. That tingled when I drew the line. I want to know more. And Dan says that's impression of you nailing it. Divide the circle down the middle and pick another charge dichotomy for left and right. For instance, biological storybook raccoon could get divided into dishonest and honest. And now you have 4 quadrants. It's probably not easy to follow this, what's in spoken. So you just go to sleep, but but you can also keep along for the ride and look in the show notes. Divide the circle down the middle and pick another charge dichotomy for left and right, honest and dishonest. Now you have 4 quadrants going clockwise. You have biological dishonest raccoon. That would be the top right. Then storybook dishonest raccoon, then storybook honest raccoon, and then biological honest raccoon. Any point, this is the important part here, any point which you stop feeling charged, go back a step or start over. Now, maybe you got this far to realize you didn't want to write about raccoons. And he goes, people aren't going to like all this rewriting and restructuring. He says, stick with it. That's how you tell stories. And he says, when you find an area that yields 4 charged quadrants, experiment with protagonists. For him, he's like, okay, how about a raccoon? So once upon a time, there was a dishonest biological raccoon that became a storybook raccoon. That led to him becoming honest before finally going back and becoming biological again. Cool? Question mark. If it's not, go back and start over. Again. He says, no, people aren't going to want you to start over. He says, don't worry about that. Just keep it up until you feel charged, I think is his point. And then we'll go into the structure stuff. So this is kind of the I don't know what you'd call it, the mud or whatever. If we're going to make a mud pie, this is like mixing the water and the mud and the others, a little grass and everything. Okay, so let's go to the song Nothing. So the song Nothing is about Diana or Diana. I don't know which one because I don't, it's the only song I listen to in the musical over and over again for the most part is this one. But so if we start to look at just what it's about, like the top and the bottom, like he said storybook, like biological raccoon, storybook raccoon, you say, okay, what is this about it? And it's about she getting into this prestigious, the song is about her getting into this prestigious acting program, this like high school for the performing arts. So, boy, this is pressure's on. So how do we break that into 4 quadrants? I mean, obviously, this is like Monday morning quarterbacking this part. But I think almost the top and the bottom would be, like at the top is like, geez, I'm going to go to high school to be an actress. And then the bottom is like, I can't be an actress or something. I don't know. I guess I'm losing it. Maybe we should just cut ahead to the structure. No, I don't think we should. Let me see. So I think like the contrasts, what are the contrasts of the song that are charged for me? I guess because I'm choosing it and it's important is the contrast between it's about a song in her relationship with the teacher and her relationship with herself. So the song is about she wants to be an actress and she feels like she got into this great high school for the performing arts because she wants to be an actress. And when you want to do something, at least part of you feels like you can become a great actress. And of course, part of you feels like you can or is afraid that you can't or you won't. And I think that is the top and the bottom of this structure. If it's the top half of the circle and the bottom half, the top half is I can be an actress. And the bottom half is I cannot be an actress, which would be, that's pretty charged, you know. And that brings the charge to the thing. And then the right half of the circle would be, you know, I need to be taught to be like an actress. Like I need a teacher, I need a mentor. To be an actress, and it's specific in the song to Mr. Carp. So I need Mr. Carp to teach me how to act, and on the other half is I don't need Mr. Carp. Or I don't need I think I don't need a little teacher. Is not specific enough, but I think that's the structure, the basic. This isn't the structure. I guess this is like the meat of the thing is like, I can be an actress. I can't be an actress. So if you were looking at the top right, if it was 4 quadrants, the first one would be Diana saying, I can be an actress if Mr. Carp teaches me how. And then the bottom right would be, I can't be an actress because Mr. Carp says I'm not good enough. And then the bottom left would be, I can't be an actress. And I don't need I don't know what the bottom left would be. This is why this is good. I guess it's a good thing we're not writing a Hollywood or a Broadway musical. But this is, you can see the power of the structure is when I'm saying, the power of this technique is not in the answers it provides, but in the lens that it like allows you to place over your story to say, and then don't say, go back and start over. Or find what's charged for you. So what in the second, first quarter, second. So we're in the third quarter of the song. We're still in I can't be an actress. I should give up, I guess, would be the bottom left thing. Like carp or no carp. So, and then the top one would be I can be an actress. I just don't need Mr. Carp. There's a spoiler. So where do we get lost? I guess we got lost with the Mr. Carp thing. The top and the bottom, I think, are solid because the top of the half is I can be an actress. And that's the beauty of the song and the beginning and the end is that the song starts with her joy of getting into this high school. And so I'm thinking and talking here, and then that she's like, wow, I got into this school. I must have a chance to be an actress. And then as we'll go through the structural points, it realizes that she meets her teacher, Mr. Carp, who's going to enable her to be an actress. He's the representative of the school. And then we get down to the next tangent. It's like, oh, no, Mr. Carp says you're not going to be an actress. And then the next one would be I can't be an actress. I guess like this is would might be like, but we don't without Mr. Carp. I guess it's like carp and no carp. The left side of the structure is no carp, and the right side is carp. A teacher and no teacher. But I guess it's specific. I guess now she's like, I can't be an actress and Mr. Carp. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm still stuck in that. And then the top half, though, is I don't need Mr. Carp to be a good actress. I can be a good actress. So, okay, so far, not doing Dan justice, but you could see that this is more about the lens and like being like, okay, luckily I'm not trying to write this. I'm just trying to. But you see where I'm getting lost. It's like, okay, and maybe it's because I'm not understanding the meat of the song. So let's go to another quadrant here. This is a sleep podcast, so I can talk about whatever I want. Like the name of the song is Nothing. So maybe this is where it's at is, I guess this is where this is where the subtext of the song is. And what does it for me is this lower subtext, like, I guess this is somewhat like making a sandwich, and this is like the good part of the sandwich. So I guess like another thing in the quadrants, I think it's still, I can be an actress and I can't be an actress. Maybe like all four quadrants are, I feel nothing, but the right side is I feel nothing and that equals bad. And the left side is I feel nothing that equals good. I guess that might be it, like, because if the top right quadrant is I can be an actress through Mr. Carp, but I feel nothing, she still tries to overcome it because she says, well, I can be an actress in the first quarter with Mr. Carp. That'll help me overcome the fact that I feel nothing. And then we get into the bottom right half, and it says, no, I can't be an actress because I feel nothing and because Mr. Carp tells me I can't be an actress. And then we get into the the bottom left where it's kind of like, well, I don't need Mr. Carp or whatever. Mr. Carp's not going to help me, but I don't think I can become an actress because I feel nothing. But she's more accepting. She's like, I feel nothing. Maybe I can't be an actress. Maybe I should just give up. I can't be an actress. Yeah, that's it. So if you're, this is why you write this stuff out. Like Dan says, get a paper and a pen. But so the bottom left quadrant, I guess, would be, so I'm cheating. I'm using three things, but the top and the bottom half is, so the bottom half is I can't be an actress, but it's an empowering. She's saying, geez, maybe I can't be an actress. I don't feel anything. And Mr. Carp says I can't be an actress. But that's when things turn, and that's where the beauty of the story and the power of this song takes place. Is that like acceptance allows her to find, whoa, wait a second, I feel nothing. Maybe that doesn't mean, and that's where the story rises again. She says, oh, I feel nothing, but I don't need Mr. Carp. I can be an actress and I feel nothing. And that's where it pays off. Oh my goodness, it pays off. Okay, so if you're still with me, that was the basics of the story, Umbrio, just the breaking of the story. And you say, geez, you took a beautiful song, Scoots, and you broke it for me. And I'd say, well, thank you. It's what I do around here, these parts. But then let's talk about the specifics of structure. So Dan has I think 4 articles over at the Channel 101 Wiki. And they're great. I got to tell you, I hear people that pay a ton of money to learn how to write stories. This will teach you. Let me just run through it. So this is by Dan. It's called Story Structure 101, super basic. And he again talks about make a circle and make it into 4 quadrants. And then start with the number 1, where the number 12 would be in a clock. And then this one you probably need to see it, but you're basically going to end up with 8 points on the wheel, 8 story points. Let me see if Dan explains it better. Storytelling comes natural to humans, but since we live in an unnatural world, we sometimes need a little help. So he says, draw a circle, divide it in half vertically, then horizontally, starting at the 12 o'clock position, going clockwise. Number the 4 points where the lines cross, 1, 3, 5, and 7. Then number the quarter sections, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here's Dan's structure. And it goes, I'll say the numbers and the structure, but it's pretty, number 1, a character is in a zone of comfort. 2, but they want something. 3, they enter an unfamiliar situation. 4, adapt to it. 5, get what they wanted. 6, pay a heavy price for it. 7, return to the familiar situation. 8, having changed. And Dan starts to talk about, just start thinking about what stories you love and do they follow this structure. And a lot of this is based on, the hero within and like the monomyth and all this Joseph Campbell stuff. And Aristotle talked about it and all that. And again, I can hear some people saying, whoa, and say, okay, well, I don't write in structure or, that's too formulaic. It's like, exactly. But you need to learn, if you learn the basic structure, then it won't be. I guess that's the weird irony or the paradox is if you really take the time to learn structure, whether it's Dan's structure or some other structure, pretty soon you'll learn that, okay, that's I don't know. I guess I don't know how to explain but you need to learn story structure. You don't need to copy story structure or use it like paint by numbers. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I get off my high horse and then go to Dan's story structure 102, pure boring theory. And Dan kind of, this one's actually, you should just read this one because this is way deeper and it talks about, Jesus, the good news and the bad news or, the shadow self. Well, let me read a little bit, like life and the state of not life, and how things are always in change, but it's usually change happens, like how we get fossil fuels. There was dinosaurs and then they passed away and then they got, turned into goop and now we drive around like using their stuff. Planet-wide creature life on Earth has been able to grow and thrive through an evolutionary arms race between the various parts of itself. Some things, we have a circle of life, as that movie once sang. And this is what causes evolution and life to advance and spread. And that's what led to our brains. And he goes, geez, life in passing is 50%, 50% of it. And then he says, well, maybe it's, then he uses it conscious and unconscious. Yeah, this is a little easier for me. Like your mind's a home with upstairs and a downstairs. Upstairs, things are well lit and swept and people come over and you serve hot cocoa and play Scrabble. Downstairs is where you got all the creaky stuff. And for me, it's the story swamp. It's the unconscious, and it's the stuff you don't, won't, or can't think about. Whether you use Freud or Jungian, there could be, wires and pipes and stuff, and you can say, oh, there's a pipe, there's a cigar down there. I don't smoke cigars. You say, really? But this is also like where the life-sustaining energy is, but it's primitive and it's stinky, and, a lot of times we'd rather not think about it. But Dan says, however, your pleasure, your sanity, and your prosperity kind of depend on occasional round trips, and you've got to change the fuses, get some Christmas ornaments, clean out the litter box. So you can't keep the basement sealed, otherwise the whole home will become unstable. And then the things will get loud, and then you'll try to cover up with neurotic behavior. This sounds just like me. And for some, the basement door could come off the hinges, and then, then what, who knows? The whole point is, according to Dan, occasional ventures by the ego into the unconscious, though through therapy, meditation, confession, and, other activity, cathartic activities are a good story. Keep the consciousness in working order. This is the rhythm of psychology. Conscious, unconscious, conscious, unconscious. And then Dan kind of talks about a similar idea with order and chaos, like as society's rhythm, like with order and then chaos and then order and then chaos. That's the rhythm of society. And he talks about resonance. Now you understand that all life including the human mind and the communities we create march to the same very specific beat. If your story also marches to this beat, it will resonate. It will also send your audience's ego on a brief trip to the unconscious and back. Your audience has an instinctive taste for that, and they're going to say yum. So then I'm going to just read through the last two here. Story structure 103, let's simplify, Dan says. And here's the steps again, boiled down to their barest minimum while still being in English. Step 1, when you. Step 2, have a need. Step 3, you go somewhere. Step 4, search for it. Step 5, find it. Step 6, take it. Step 7, then return. And then step 8, change things. Or even more basic, you need, step 1, you, step 2, need, step 3, go, step 4, search, step 5, find, step 6, take, step 7, return, and step 8, change. So let's see if we can just apply that to the song, like, with our last, because I guess I rambled a little bit. When you have a need, you go somewhere, search for it, find it, take it, then return and change things. So what I'm going to do is read through the lyrics of the song, but just think about that the song is based on the conscious and unconscious, or the chaos and the disorder, the life and death thing of, I can be an actress versus I cannot be an actress. And then also balanced out by this idea of like, I don't feel anything, that's a bad thing, versus I don't feel anything, that's just who I am, or that's not a bad thing, that's like an acceptance versus a denial. Okay, so this is Nothing by the character Diana. I'm excited because I'm going to go to the High School of the Performing Arts. I mean, and this song is so beautiful. I mean, literally, it gives me the chills every time I hear it, especially when Natalie Cortez sings it. But I was excited because I was going to go to the High School of Performing Arts. I mean, I was dying to be a serious actress. Anyway, it's the first day of acting class. And we're in the auditorium, and the teacher, Mr. Carp, anyway, he puts us upstage with our legs around one another, one in the back of each other, and he says, okay, we're going to do improvisations. Now you're on a bobsled and it's snowing out and it's cold. Okay, go. And this is when the song itself really gets good. But every day for a week, we would try to feel the motion down the hill. Every day for a week, we would try to hear the wind rush, feel the chill. And here's where my chills come in. I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, to see what I had inside. Yes, I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I tried. And then she does an aside. She says, and everybody's going whoosh, whoosh. I feel the snow. I feel the cold. I feel the air. And Mr. Carp turns to me and he says, okay, Morales, what did you feel? I'm getting the chills. I'm not kidding as I speak. And I said, nothing. I'm feeling nothing. And he says, nothing could get a girl transferred. They all felt something, but I felt nothing, except the feeling that this was absurd. But I said to myself, hey, it's just the first week. Maybe it's genetic. They don't have bobsleds in San Juan. Second week, more advanced, and we had to be a table, be a sports car, ice cream cone. Mr. Carp, he would say, very good, except Morales. Try Morales, all alone. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul to see how an ice cream felt. Yes, I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I tried to melt. The kids yelled nothing. They called me nothing. And Mr. Carp allowed it, which really makes me burn. They were so helpful. They called me hopeless. You know what part of the song this is, right? Holy. Until I didn't know where else to turn. And Mr. Karp kept saying, Morales, I think you should transfer to Girls High. You'll never be an actress. Never. And Morales says, went to church praying, Santa Maria, send me guidance. Send me guidance on my knees. Went to church praying, Santa Maria, help me feel it, pretty please. And a voice from down at the bottom of my soul came up to the top of my head. And a voice from down at the bottom of my soul, and here is what it said. This man is nothing. This course is nothing. If you want something, go find another class. And when you find one, you'll be an actress. And I assure you, that's finally what came to pass. 6 years later, I heard that Karp had died. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul. And I cried. Because I felt nothing. And you can immediately, if you've been listening, you can see, I mean, holy moly, how, I mean, many payoffs this song has in a structural story way. And how much it just gives us a whole, I mean, and yes, I'm being a fanboy about dance structure and about this song. But I mean, holy moly. So let me just run through what the song is about, just in case. I mean, basically, Morales, she goes to the High School of Performing Arts. She's got this teacher, probably the top teacher, Mr. Karp. And he says, here's how you act. You pretend you're on a bobsled. That's how you become a great actress. And that's in this story, that's the only way to become a great actress. And so they do this bobsled pretend thing, and she says, this doesn't work for me. And he says, no, it's not that it doesn't work for you. It's that you're not an actress. Try again. And because she was like, I don't feel anything. This is just strange. But she said, okay, let me try again. And then the second week, it would be a table, be a sports car, ice cream cone. And he said, everybody's doing great except for you, Morales. Can you try one more time up on stage by yourself? And she dug right down to the bottom of her soul to see how an ice cream felt. And she tried, and not only could she feel nothing, but then she was subject to humiliation by the class saying, you're nothing. And Karp allowed it. They called me hopeless until I really didn't know where else to turn. And Karp said, if you're never going to be an actress, Morales. And then she was at a point where she fell to her knees and she said, Santa Maria, send me guidance, pretty please. And she dug right down to the bottom of her soul. And here's what it said. This man is nothing. This course is nothing. It's not you. It's this fool Karp. If you want something, if you want to be an actress, go find a better class. And then the empowerment part. And I assure you, that is what finally came to pass. And then the beauty of the final structure point, which we'll get into, is that it has the last payoff. You say, well, she became an actress. No, there's more. 6 months later, I heard that Karp had died, and I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I cried because I felt nothing. So let's just pause there because that's like the end part. I mean, we're at the end of the 8 and change. When you have a need, you go somewhere, search for it, find it, take it, then return and change things. And in step 104, Dan kind of talks about the more specifics, but you is a character in a zone of comfort. So you, in this case, is Morales. Diana, and she's in a zone of comfort. She just got into the High School of the Performing Arts. They want something. She wants to be an actress, and she wants to do well in Mr. Karp's class because he's her acting teacher. They enter an unfamiliar situation. In her case, it's this method acting with the stupid bobsled thing, where you sit there and you pretend you're on a bobsled. So you need to go. Diana wants to be an actress, goes to Girls High to acting class, starts Carp's class. Step 1, pretend you're bobsled. She feels nothing. And this is, where you get into the middle part of the this is like the act 2. So then search, you need go, search, which is like, I guess step 2, I guess step 1 and step 2 of the second week. We tried to be an ice cream, sports car, be a table, ice cream cone. And she dug right down to the bottom of her soul to see how ice cream felt. And she felt nothing. And then it goes, so she finds that 2 tries, she still feels nothing. Not only does she feel nothing, but that's a bad thing, according to Mr. Carp, and according to Mr. Carp letting the class bully her and say, you're hopeless. They were so helpful. They called me hopeless. And Mr. Carp allowed it. So even then we get a little bit of the find what they wanted, step 5. And step 5 is at the bottom of the circle, which in this case is, I can't be an actress. And she finds she feels nothing. Mr. Carp allowed the class to make fun of her. He repeated that she'll never be an actress. She should transfer to Girls High. And she's almost lost all hope. She's gone, and this is deep in the subconscious or wherever your belief system is, deep in the underworld. She falls to her knees. And it's even witty how she says Jesus Christ out of anger and then goes straight into this prayer to Santa Maria. It just shows the quality of the song, the lyrics writing. But, find and then take. You have to you have to pay the price to acquire what you want and take, which is step 6, which is the first step at the so she's down on her knees, and then she makes a call out to Santa Maria or the universe. And it's also this repeat of this, the chorus where she says, and I dug right down to the bottom of my soul. And she tried with the first 2 ones. And then she says, Santa Maria, please help me feel pretty, please. And then this time, instead of digging, the voice comes up from the bottom of my soul, came up to the top of my head. And the voice from down at the bottom of my soul hears what it said. And it says, this man is nothing. And now this is where I get, mixed up in the story structure. Is it like, she's paying the price at this point. She's given up, she's fallen to her knees and said she's without external help from either the depths of my soul or from Santa Maria up in heaven or whatever. I have no hope, the earthly conscious power of Mr. Carp and my classmates. And this is the best acting school of performing arts have said, you will never be an actress. But as this soul or this gut thing, she said, geez, that's where I crave to be an actress so badly. And then the answer comes back to her, so this is take and find. I think, was that the next one? Take. Oh, and return, so she almost has to give up hope and also say, the answer comes back, and it's a hard one. It sounds easy because it's in a witty song, but actually this is where most people, the answer comes back. It says, hey, this man is nothing. This class is nothing. Go find a better class. Don't give up. And she's actually living a story structure because it's saying, hey, you got to start climbing up this freaking half circle here. Dan Harmon's half story embryo. Return to, you got to get out of this. I can't be an actress and climb just up past that threshold to I can be an actress. I just have to find a better class. So return to the world and go in search of what is going to let you become a great actress. But as I said, the brilliance of story doesn't just stop there. It says, okay, so Diana Morales is out there now. Looking for a better class. You say, well, no, what about that other part of the story where she feels nothing? Wasn't that a central part of the resonance of that's why I connect with the song? So if that's not resolved somehow, it also doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, so she went to find another class, but she just doesn't feel nothing. So how is she going to be a great actress? And I think this is why this song was, I mean, I'm sure this is reflected in the rest of the chorus line. This little difference is maybe where greatness comes through. And if this is like a way to put a lens on it with Dan's structure here, say, okay, so she went back and she looked for a new class. No. And then how's the read again? It says, 6 months later, and well, first she says, finally it did come to pass. I did go out, I did return, and I did search and find another class. But then she says, 6 months later, I heard that Carp had died. I can't believe how good this is. As someone that writes stuff, I just can't believe how good this is. 6 months later, I heard that Carp had died. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I cried. But, okay, oh, you say, oh, okay, that makes sense. So she's finally feeling something. I say, no. You know, that's not where truth lies and change lies. And the real resonance is we know we're broken people, and we identify with other broken people that are struggling and rising. If it's a character in a story, I say, well, I mean, this is what you hear a lot of people complain about, you know, about pop culture stuff. We're not doing that, but I'm having the chills again. 6 months later, I heard the carpet died, and I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I cried. Why'd you cry, Diana? Because I felt nothing. And it even leaves it open a little bit. It's like, okay, she's achieved success. The circular journey we went on in the song has paid off, and our character is rising back up again into the world of I can be an actress. And in some sense, she's been healed because she says, well, I don't need Mr. Carp. But then it goes beyond that. It goes to the change thing that Dan was talking about and the monomyth and why do I get the chills? Because she's come to somewhat of an acceptance that she feels now. She hasn't changed. She's going to say, well, now I chew gum and I'm just so darn happy. And maybe this is me projecting, but to me, she says, and I felt nothing. Like I cried at Carp's funeral because I didn't care. I mean, that's definitely projection, but like that, I've achieved what I wanted, but I'm still a human being, and I've achieved both an acceptance, but not a comfortableness. You know, there's a difference between being comfortable with something and accepting it. And those are things that are just so human and relatable. Oh boy, it is so good. I mean, I know I'm gushing here about this, but it's like, I'm just going to close. I'm going to read the lyrics one more time and just think about the structure. I'll read the dance structure and then the lyrics and then good night, okay? So just think about this. When you have a need, you go somewhere, you search for it, you find it, you take it, then return and change things. You need, go, search, find, take, return, change. And these are the lyrics from Nothing, from a chorus line. I'm so excited because I'm going to go to the High School of the Performing Arts. I mean, I was dying to be a serious actress. Anyway, it's the first day of acting class, and we're in the auditorium, and the teacher, Mr. Carp. Oh, Mr. Carp. Anyway, he puts us up on stage with our legs around one another, one in back of another, and he says, okay, we're going to do improvisations. Now you're on a bobsled. It's snowing out, and it's cold. Okay, go. Every day for a week, we would try to feel the motion down the hill. Every day for a week, we would try to hear the wind rush, feel the chill. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul to see what I had inside. Yes, I dug right down to the bottom of my soul, and I tried. And everybody's going, whoosh, whoosh. I feel the snow. I feel the cold. I feel the air. And Mr. Carp turns to me and he says, okay, Morales, what do you feel?
And I said, nothing. I'm feeling nothing. And he says, nothing could get a girl transferred. They all felt something, but I felt nothing, except this feeling that this was absurd. But I said to myself, hey, it's only the first week. Maybe it's genetic. They don't have bobsleds in San Juan. Second week, more advanced, we had to be a table, be a sports car, ice cream cone. Mr. Carpy would say, very good, except Morales. Try Morales, all alone. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul to see how an ice cream felt. Yes, I dug right down to the bottom of my soul and I tried to melt. The kids yelled nothing. They called me nothing. And Carp allowed it, which really makes me burn. They were so helpful. They called me hopeless until I really didn't know where else to turn. And Carp kept saying, Morales, I think you should transfer to Girls High. You'll never be an actress, never. Went to church praying, Santa Maria, send me guidance. Send me guidance on my knees. Went to church praying, Santa Maria, help me feel it. Help me feel it, pretty please. And a voice from down at the bottom of my soul came up to the top of my head. And the voice from down at the bottom of my soul, here is what it said. This man is nothing. This course is nothing. If you want something, go find another class. And when you find one, you'll be an actress. And I assure you that's finally what came to pass. 6 months later, I heard that Carp had died. And I dug right down to the bottom of my soul. And I cried. Because I felt nothing. All right, everybody, good night.
Hey, everybody, this is Scoots here, tucking you in. I don't know if you listen, we've been running testimonials from people that support the show directly versus me kind of trying to, I don't know, I don't feel like I have to convince you, right, to support the show. It's just like getting the message through. But I had to do something different because it's just wasn't working. What I was doing wasn't working, so it's time to change it up. So hopefully you listen to those. I'm just going to run through some of the bonus content we've got on Sleep With Me Plus lately. We had, like a Fearless Flyer from the holidays of 2024, a holiday parade, a Disney parade, a Posty Super Deluxe episode. He's getting ready to kick off his new series in 2025. We're reading through the book, Frankie and Victor, another Fearless Flyer. I'm pretty sure there's, it must not have the right, there's also like on location episodes. I know I'm editing one right now that'll come out this month, where, I take the Skyliner in Disney World. That part's in, binaural audio. And then I walk around the Art Animation Resort. We've also had like balcony episodes. Oh, Drew Reads News. That came out this summer. So yeah, check it out. I appreciate it. And if you ever need to get a hold of me, use the contact form on our website. I'm always here to check in with you. But yeah, I really appreciate you listening. And yeah, the best ways to support the show is on Sleep With Me Plus, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Support our sponsors or spread the word about the show or spread the word about podcasting in general or support something else that brings you value. If you say, nah, I'm not going to support Sleep With Me. What else do you, podcasts or YouTube or artists do you enjoy? Support one of them. Thanks and good night.